All right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Happy Thursday, and welcome back here today to another episode of the Just Ballin' podcast. So, I'm going to kind of steer away from the normal Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, at least for this week and potentially next week as well. And I wanted to talk about last night's play in tournament games in the Eastern Conference between the Heat and the Sixers, the Hawks and the Bulls. And then I'm going to give my X factor for every playoff team, somebody I think that needs to step up a little bit more than normal, needs to exceed expectations if they want to have a semi-far playoff run. And I know that the playoff format isn't fully set, so I'll be giving one for the Heat and the Bulls and for the Pelicans and the Kings. And then I'll be giving kind of my rough playoff predictions. Over on the Ross channel, I'm going to be doing my full playoff predictions in a video format, but I'm going to kind of talk through it. So we're going to separate this podcast into three parts: my reaction to last night's play-in tournament games, then an X factor for every single playoff team, and then my final kind of rough draft of my playoff predictions we'll get to at the end. All right, so yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying the pod, though. If you guys have been, I would appreciate you maybe dropping a thumbs up on YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you're not already, and then you can kind of let me know on Spotify or Apple Podcasts by leaving a rating and review. It takes a couple seconds, or just following over there. It can go a long way, and I do appreciate it. So we can go into last night's first game between the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers. Man, this was a gross game in the first half. Philadelphia could not hit a shot. I even participated in just dunking on Tobias Harris on Twitter. I also tweeted out, I made Tobias Harris my X factor going into this game. It was Tobias Harris and it was Nikola Jovic, and Jovic didn't play as much, kind of got played off the floor a little bit defensively and didn't really play a whole ton in the second half. Tobias Harris was just not in that closing lineup either. They kind of went to Nick Batum, who just balled out in the fourth quarter, hit some big threes. Why is Batum in the fourth? And yeah, he showed why. And the Sixers ended up winning 105-104. This was a scrappy game to start. Neither team could really get anything going offensively. Jimmy Butler, though, got injured when Kelly Oubre fell into his leg. He sprained his MCL, or he's going to be out for Friday's play-in tournament game, and most likely would miss round one. So the Heat's pretty much hopes of going on a Cinderella run like they did in last year in 2023 is pretty much over, sadly. I know it is kind of a shame because it would have been cool to see Philadelphia for Miami to do something in the play-in tournament and then end up doing what they did last year. But yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm not going to guarantee it. They could still beat Chicago. Chicago's not a great team overall. They could beat them without Jimmy, but with no Terry Rozier to just get anything going offensively, it's going to be tough for that team. So yeah, this is probably it for Miami, as Philadelphia ends up winning 105-104. Embiid got some calls late in the game. They got a couple and ones. Oubre got one as well. Like I said, Batum hit his shots. And it was just too little too late for Miami. That couldn't really get much going. Hero was so hard to watch in that first half. He did hit some big shots in the fourth quarter, but did not shoot the ball well at all. 9 for 27 from the field, 33%. 4 for 14 from three wasn't great. Even Jimmy struggled at times as well. And I know Jimmy was playing hurt in this game. I just thought he was going to step up a little bit more. But then again, the Heat, I know they hit a three with that didn't really matter to make it a 1-point game, so they kind of lost by 4. But yeah, it was, Philadelphia was favored by 5.5 points in this game. It was on the road, and Miami had it, man. Miami kind of blew this. Philadelphia did not play well whatsoever. Bam picked up 2 fouls early. They had to go to Kevin Love. Embiid didn't look himself. He kind of looked a little bit injured in this game, and the fact that Embiid went 6 for 17, he did get to the line like Embiid does, took 10 free throws, but going 6 for 17 and still winning against a respectable Heat team has to make you a little bit excited as a Sixers fans that you're going to get the worst version of Embiid, and he's still going to put up 23 and 15, also give you 5 assists as well, and still be good defensively. And he hit a big 3 in the fourth quarter as well. And I think the Sixers found the rotation. I think it was a great job by Nick Nurse that actually went away from Tobias Harris. I will tell you, Doc Rivers or Brett Brown would not have done that. And I tweeted out that the biggest upgrade for Philadelphia that nobody's talking about, and it was a picture of Nick Nurse, and it's damn right. Going from Doc Rivers to Nick Nurse is going to pay dividends, and I don't think Doc Rivers wins that game last night. I don't. I kind of wish Doc Rivers was still there because I would feel a little bit comfortable about my Knicks going up against Philadelphia, but Philadelphia beats them 105-104, and they're going to be going up against the Knicks as the 7th seed. It's pretty much even money on most betting sites on who's going to win that series. And I'm going to go insane as a Knicks fan. I live in Philadelphia. I'm going to be away, though, in New York and on vacation from Sunday to Thursday. So I will never be in Philadelphia for pretty much any of these games because I come back Friday and then I have to I'm going to the Mets game on Sunday. So I'll be watching the Knicks game at the Mets game as well in Queens. So we still be in New York for that around some Knicks fans. I don't know. We'll get into the playoff kind of predictions later, so I'll talk about that series specifically. But Philadelphia gets it done. And then Miami, it's not looking great for them. I think it was going to be a super long shot to beat Boston. They maybe would have had a shot against New York, but this team, it's not as deep. Maybe this is okay for them. Maybe they needed to take a step back. Obviously, like Kyle Lowry beating them, it's got to hurt a little bit because you gave up a first-round pick and Kyle Lowry to get Terry Rozier. Rozier was hurt in this game, and then Charlotte just waived Kyle Lowry. He signs with Philly, and he was working his ass off defensively, man. Lowry was great in this game on that end of the floor. And for Miami, I know you're without like Richardson, you're without Rozier. Jimmy's going to be hurt as well, so you've had your injuries. But hey, at least Jaime Jaquez, you drafted a good rotational piece. I don't think Jaquez is ever going to be an all-star, but he's going to be a good bench scorer. You're going to get another year of the Nikola Jovic development. Bam will be back. Hero will be back. Butler will be back. You'd hope to re-sign maybe DeLon Wright's back and Caleb Martin. I mean, those are up in the air, but you get a fully healthy Rozier next year, and you're going to get your lottery pick in this draft. I think I'd rather end up with the 14th overall pick, 13th overall pick than have to go up against Boston without Jimmy Butler. I'd rather save the couple spots. Maybe draft a big man. Maybe you get a Tyler Smith, a Filipowski, a Yves Missi, so you don't have to see Kevin Love as your backup 5. Maybe they look at a point guard like an Isaiah Collier, a Devin Carter, a Jared McCain next year as well. But yeah, I think for Miami, you chalk it up and then you kind of recoup next year. Maybe you get your mid-level exception to open up as well. I don't think they'll make a trade. I don't know if there's going to be anybody on the market. I mean, they could probably do some type of hero for Donovan Mitchell trade if they wanted to, but that's going to be tough to do unless you're getting a guarantee that Mitchell will re-sign, but that could definitely happen if Cleveland's going to trade him. And Cleveland is interested in a Tyler Hero. Sorry for kind of cutting that out real quick. There's just some guy with a car just revving the engine around me right now. But yeah, for Miami, I think it's a disappointing way. I think they even could have had a shot against Boston, sure, if like they were fully healthy, but they're just not. So yeah, Miami ends up falling to Philadelphia. And then the later game was Chicago-Atlanta. I will say though, like Chicago ended up winning 131-116. I went 0-2 in my predictions for the Western Conference playing tournament. I predicted the Lakers were going to lose to the Pelicans and the Warriors were going to beat the Kings. Neither of those two things happened, but I went 2-0 last night. Maybe it's because I didn't tweet out my predictions there, but I ended up taking Philadelphia and Chicago both to win. Both did that. And Chicago is a fun environment, man. I went to the United Center in November of 2020. I believe it was 20. Was that 21? Wow, that was November of 21. Yeah, November 21, saw the Knicks play them. They actually lost. But it's a fun arena, man. Like when the Bulls are good, that crowd is as good as you can get. They're up there with MSG. They're up there with the Kings Arena at Golden One Center. Like they have some of the best fans in the NBA. Even like you could say like the TD Garden and the Wells Fargo Center fans as well. And maybe even Staples Center at times. But Chicago's really fun. I mean, Kobe White had an incredible game. He's been my most improved player pick. Super high on Kobe, and he showed out last night. Even DeRozan was good enough. Hey, Vucevic was fine. Like he was pretty good, and that was always going to be a mismatch for Atlanta. They were way too banged up. Trae Young looked like he was still injured. He was hesitant to drive. Bogdan Bogdanovic still kind of inefficient from 3. Clint Capella was their big man with like Bruno Fernando coming off the bench, but they miss a Kongwu there for sure. And I think just way too many like, I don't know, like Garrison Matthews minutes. I mean, I don't think he's like terrible on the defensive end of the floor and he'll hit a 3 or 2, but it seems like for Chicago, they were just had a little bit more depth, and that's even with Caruso getting hurt, running into Drummond in the first half, and like the Bulls without Patrick Williams in this game too, like he's out for the year. But the Bulls team were fun. Like no Levine, no Lonzo, no Pat Will. This Bulls team is a respectable 39-43 team. I do think it's a little unfair that Miami could get sent home before the playoffs, finishing 7 games better than Chicago, because that kind of just like is just not going to like show what we saw over the regular season as Miami is the better team. But yeah, I wonder actually right now, like who is the favorite for the game on Friday? I guess with no Jimmy Butler. I don't know. Miami, like they'll be home. Miami is still a 1.5 favorite in this game. So that will be interesting to see if they do win without Jimmy Butler. And for like Chicago, I think they could win it. I mean, they have a fun team. They could maybe steal a game against Boston, but I feel like that would be a sweep if it does end up happening. I do think that Chicago will win on Friday with no Jimmy Butler. I don't know if Hero is going to step up. I don't know if it's going to be Nikola Jovic. Will we see Bam dominate Vucevic? We probably will, but I think Chicago's going to get it done. I do. I think missing Jimmy's going to be huge because what he provides them on the defensive end of the floor, he was fantastic defensively before the injury and even after. Like, just like seeing like passes 2 plays ahead, or she's seeing a pass like a little bit before it happens. That really didn't make any sense. And just kind of reading out the defense and knowing what was going to happen, or I guess like the extra pass that he knew was going to come and he can get there right away. As for Atlanta, a disappointing season. I thought they could have been a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. They end up going 10 games under 500, get blown out in the play-in tournament with Young playing 43 minutes, but was also banged up in this game. Like, he definitely was a little hesitant to drive and did like not shoot the ball all too well, it seemed like. And yeah, like I said, was hesitant. But for Atlanta, big decisions this offseason. They're going to have a lottery pick. They could have 2 if Sacramento beats New Orleans tomorrow night, and they could add 2 they can add 2 first-round picks. We'll see how they're going to look next year. Hopefully AJ Griffin's back in the mix. Jalen Johnson fully healthy to start the year. Will they move a Clint Capella? Will they move a Bogdan Bogdanovic? Will they try to still re-sign Sadiq Bey maybe on a 1-year deal like the qualifying offer just to get him back as he recovers from the knee injury? Will we see Kobe Buffkin take a next step? But the biggest question, Trae Young or DeJounte Murray, will one of them be traded this offseason, or will they try to run it back and then maybe try to upgrade somewhere else on the team? All right, X Factors here. We'll start off in the Eastern Conference. We're going to do 9 teams. I'm going to do one for the Heat and the Bulls if either one of those teams were to make it. For the Boston Celtics, we'll start at the top. Kristaps Porzingis is my X factor. You could say Jaylen Brown as well. How will he respond after somewhat of a disappointing playoff run last year? But I think it's Kristaps. Will he be fully healthy throughout the playoffs? Will he be ready to go? It seems like he will be for round number 1, but will he have to miss any time? Will he be that elite rim protector that we saw at times this year for Boston? Will he be a consistent 3-point specialist that is going to be such a mismatch for defenses? And I think if that all comes together, he could be the X factor for them to win a championship. I think we're going to get a good play out of Jason Tatum. We're going to get a good play out of Jaylen Brown. We know how good Derek White can be even when he's not scoring. Same with Drew Holiday. Will Kristaps Porzingis step up and be that floor spacer rim protector for Boston that they didn't have last year against Miami or some of these other teams to go out and win a championship? So yeah, Boston is going to, their X factor is going to be Kristaps. I don't really know if it's going to be anybody off the bench. Like, will Sam Hauser hit his threes? Will Peyton Pritchard be somewhat serviceable off the bench? Will Xavier Tillman give them some good minutes? All potential possibilities, but I'm going with KP. For the Knicks, it's actually going to be Bojan Bogdanovic. Now, it came out that Bojan did have like somewhat of like a wrist injury a couple weeks ago. He actually turns, I think, 35 today. Yep, happy birthday to Bojan Bogdanovic. I think it could be OG Anunoby or it could be Bojan Bogdanovic in the terms that who's going to step up as that number 2 scoring option. I think Dante DiVincenzo could easily average the second most points on the Knicks, but it's going to be a lot of catch and shoot threes, spot up threes, transitional scoring. I don't think it's going to be Dante DiVincenzo one-on-one isolation moves. That's more Bojan's game. I think OG could fall in here too. Will he be more aggressive? But the Knicks need some shot creating, and could that be Bojan Bogdanovic off the bench? Could he be a valuable scorer for them? Will he knock down his threes, and will he not be a complete liability on the defensive end of the floor? So that's why I think Bojan's going to come in, because we know what we're getting out of Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle is hurt. You could also say the health of Mitchell Robinson could be an X factor as well going up against Embiid, but I think Bojan Bogdanovic needs to step up in that second unit. For the Milwaukee Bucks, it is going to be Malik Beasley. Now, which Malik Beasley are we going to get? Are we going to get the first half Malik Beasley that was one of the best 3-point shooters in the league? Or are we going to get another Malik Beasley that got moved to the bench at the end of the season? I think that's going to depend a lot on how far the Milwaukee Bucks can go. I think you could obviously say Chris Middleton in here with the absence of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Damian Lillard is going to have to step up as that number 1. Middleton's going to have to step up as that number 2. But will Malik Beasley be good enough as a number 3 and knock down his threes and be someone that's going to keep them alive against a team that will be chucking them in the Indiana Pacers? So yeah, Malik Beasley, my X factor for the Milwaukee Bucks. My X factor for the Cleveland Cavaliers is going to be Darius Garland. Garland had the jaw injury this year. He's been dealing with a back injury. He finished the season with 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. A very disappointing. All of these numbers were down from last year, where Garland showed that he was one of the better point guards in the Eastern Conference. He's coming off a playoff series last year against the Knicks where he really wasn't like all too great for them. He had some good games in that series, but he also had some bad games. And will Garland step up as that number 2 next to Donovan Mitchell against the Magic in round number 1? Because if he doesn't and they get sent home early, this Cavs core is probably done. Donovan Mitchell is probably going to get traded. So Garland needs to step up. The front court needs to step up. Will Max Strus or Caris LeVert be a good enough off the bench score for them? Or the minivan, will he knock down his threes? But I think Garland is such an X factor for Cleveland throughout this playoff run, because if we get 2023 regular season Garland in the playoffs, this Cavs team could go to the conference finals. Man, I'm nervous for the Orlando Magic in round number 1 offensively. Like, I think Paolo is going to be fine, but is he going to be asked to do too much? We need to see Franz Wagner step up. He wasn't great throughout the regular season. I don't think he really improved too much from last year. He did average more points. It's because he took more shots, but he wasn't as efficient. The three-point shot was non-existent this year. Teams were sagging off Franz towards the end of the year. So if they want to beat Cleveland, they need Franz to step up as a number 2 for this team, because I don't think it's going to be Jalen Suggs. I don't think it's going to be Cole Anthony. I don't think it's going to be Isaac or Wendell Carter. They need Franz to be that 1B, the Robin to Paolo Banchero's Batman in round number 1 if they want to upset Cleveland. For Indiana, it's going to be Aaron Nesmith for me. This dude was one of the best three-point shooters in the league throughout this year. I'm excited to see him go head-to-head with my other X Factor in Milwaukee in Malik Beasley, because Aaron Nesmith shot 42% from 3 on 4.5 attempts a night. Let's see him get unlocked here in the playoffs. Halliburton's going to be Halliburton. Siakam will be Siakam. We know what we're getting out of Miles Turner, but Aaron Nesmith needs to step up, especially in the absence of Benedict Mathurin, just to be a flamethrower for Indiana. And if he can catch fire, this team could upset Milwaukee in round 1 with a banged-up Giannis, and who knows, they could also beat Philadelphia or New York in round number 2. Speaking of Philadelphia, the X Factor is the $30 million man. He's going to be a free agent. Maybe his last playoff run as a Sixer, Tobias Harris. I called him an X Factor in that playing tournament game, and man, we did not get a good Tobias Harris. Will he actually be a good enough offensive player, or is he going to miss wide open threes, airball them? Is he going to miss layups inside and putbacks? Or will Tobias Harris be actually somebody that's worth $30 million and put up 49% shooting throughout the regular season, 17 points and 6.5 rebounds a night? I don't know what Toby we're going to get, and that's why he may be the ultimate X factor for the Sixers playoff run. For the Miami Heat, with the absence of Jimmy Butler, I'm going to go with Caleb Martin here. They're going to need Tyler Hero to step up as the number 1, but they're going to need Caleb Martin, who is, I believe, a free agent at the end of the year. No, he is actually under contract next year, so he'll be back. So I think I should have mentioned that when I was talking about the Heat before, but they're going to need the Caleb Martin that torched the Boston Celtics in the conference finals. Someone that put up 19 points, shooting 60% from the field, 49% from 3, 88% from the line. They're going to need him to do that against Chicago tomorrow night, and they're going to need him to do that against Boston in round number 1. And for the Chicago Bulls, I think Kobe White and DeMar DeRozan are the clear 1 and 2s on this team. We know Alex Caruso is the best defender. I mean, Nikola Vucevic could be an X factor for sure, but I'm going to go with Ayo Dosunmu, who broke out this season. He shot so well from the field, 50%. 40% from 3, 80% from the line, 12 points, 3 assists, and was great last night coming back from injury against the Atlanta Hawks. I think Ayo Dosunmu needs to be someone that is going to be a good combo guard to Kobe White. Is he going to beat Miami and going to be off like their poor defensive guard play? Like, if Tyler Hero is guarding Ayo Dosunmu, they should be okay. Ayo Dosunmu needs to step up as kind of like that third scoring option if they kind of get the feel that Vucevic isn't going to be that for them. So those are my Eastern Conference X factors: Kristaps, Bojan, Malik Beasley, Garland, Franz, Nesmith, Tobias, Caleb Martin, and Ayo Dosunmu. All right, so let's go to the Western Conference now, and we're going to talk about Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey was not really great through the first half of the year. He had his lapses on the offensive end, the defensive end, but the shot came alive in the second half of the year. Jalen Williams and Shea are going to be the 1 and 2 scoring, but will Giddey step up and kind of play with that momentum that he had at the end of the 2023 season last year, because that will be huge for the Thunder in this playoff run. For the Nuggets, I'm going to go with Christian Brown. Can he have a similar role to what Bruce Brown had last year? I mean, Christian Brown was vital to their championship run as a rookie last year. I don't think they're going to rely too much on like Peyton Watson, Zeke Naji, definitely not Julian Strawther this playoff run. They're going to obviously heavily rely on their top 5 of Murray, KCP, Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. So I'm going to go with Christian Brown off the bench. Will he be efficient? Will he be playing good defense? And will he be an efficient transition scorer? I think that's going to be huge for Denver if they want to repeat. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, the 3 seed, I'm going to go with Jaden McDaniels, one of the best defensive players in the league. Will we see any offensive output from Jaden McDaniels in the playoffs against the Phoenix Suns in round number 1. Last year against Denver, he was okay. He shot 52% from the field, 9 points in 21 minutes. He should have a much larger role here, especially defensively, going up against Phoenix. He may get asked the task of guarding Kevin Durant and at times Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. So they're going to need him to be what he is on the defensive end of the floor, but would or will Jaden McDaniels step up offensively? Because that could be huge for Minnesota if they're trying to make it to the conference finals, which they are. Oh, for the Clippers, man, you could say anybody of their big four. I'm going with James Harden. I mean, what are we getting out of James Harden this playoff run? Are we getting somebody that looked amazing at times against Boston last year in the conference finals for Philadelphia? Or are we getting somebody that was also in that series that was not playing any defense, didn't look like he wanted to be out there at times, and obviously was turning the ball over a ton and not really shooting the ball efficiently whatsoever? Because if James Harden is not shooting the ball well, it's hard for him to be that effective because he's not being an elite defensive player. He's not moving incredibly well without the ball and slashing and cutting. So they need James Harden to just give them one elite playoff run at 34 years old, something we've rarely seen him done or do in his career if the Clippers want to win it all this year as the 4 seed. For the Dallas Mavericks, I'm going with Josh Green. Josh Green had a very inconsistent year number 4 in this league after getting extended last year. He ended up averaging 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists this season. And I feel like it was a lot of inconsistencies for Green. And towards the end of the year, he wasn't good. He did not shoot the ball well whatsoever, was missing his threes, was missing his twos. And I think Dallas needs him to step up on either the second unit or the starting 5 if Dallas wants to beat LA and then potentially beat OKC in round number 2. For the Phoenix Suns, Bradley Beal, their big acquisition last offseason, the man that's getting paid north of $50 million a year on that Supermax contract from Washington, and the, I guess, part of the big 3. He's making $46 million this playoff run. He's 30 years old. He's going to be probably playing the most important playoff games of his career, or since that 2018 Washington Wizards Boston Celtics series, or was that 2019? No, that was 2018-17 with him and I think with him and John Wall, right? That was, I'm now going to go on a tangent for what that was. That, I believe, was in 2017. Yeah, they lost in 7 games to Boston, and Bradley Beal in that series put up 24 points and shot 48% from the field. He was not really great in the 2021 playoff series against Philadelphia, so let's see if Beal will step up for the Suns this year if they have any hopes of winning a championship, because that has to be their goal with Kevin Durant getting up there in age. For the Lakers, I got to go D'Lo. He's always the X factor for me. He was the X factor in the play-in tournament, and D'Lo, he's playing with a lot of confidence right now, and he's been shooting the ball very well for the Lakers. The Lakers don't have much of a bench right now. It's pretty much LeBron, AD, Hachimura, Reeves, and D'Lo. I think Hachimura, D'Lo, and Reeves could all be X factors for this team. Like, will Reeves do what he did last year in the playoffs as a whole, being the 3rd best Laker? Will Hachimura played like he did throughout the rest of the regular season? And will D'Lo maybe step up as like that lead guard? Will the defense be horrendous? We'll see. But D'Lo, it could be a reason the Lakers beat the Nuggets in round number 1. It's going to be tough, but it's not impossible. And then the final 2 X factors for the Western Conference play-in tournament teams. We got Trey Murphy for the New Orleans Pelicans. They're going to be without Zion Williamson. They need somebody to step up as like another scoring option. Obviously, they have CJ McCollum. They have Brandon Ingram, who could be an X factor again because he did not play well against the Lakers, and one was his few games coming back from injury. So I'm going to go with Trey Murphy here. Will he step up? Can he be an elite shooter again against Sacramento tomorrow night? And for Sacramento, I'm going to talk about Harrison Barnes. He played well against the Golden State Warriors, his former team. Can he do that again against the Pelicans? Will he be able to step up in the absence of Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk? Because Barnes isn't an elite defender by any means, but if it can be efficient enough on the offensive end of the floor, Barnes can be huge for Sacramento as they are trying to make the playoffs. But maybe for Sacramento, it's not the worst thing if they don't make it, because then they are able to keep their 1st round pick. So we just talked about an X factor for every playoff team. Now let's kind of go through the playoff bracket. All right, here we are with the playoff bracket. This is going to be kind of my first time doing this. I'm going to have like a full Sauce video out Saturday morning. That's going to probably have to come out so early because I'll stay up for the play-in game so I know the final teams. See, like if it was like the Lakers or a fully healthy like Sixers team or Heat team as the 8 seeds, I would, be kind of questioning who I think could win in the 1-8 matchups. But now, like if it's the Pelicans or Kings or a banged up Heat team in the Bulls, I'm going to go with the 1 seeds. So for like the West, the Thunder, if they got, I don't know if it would change if it's the Pelicans or the Kings. I think they probably win in, You know what? I think they win in 6. I think they win in 6. I don't think they're going to be a team that's going to steamroll through any of these 8 seeds. But like, if the Pelicans were playing with Zion, I would feel super confident that that game could go to 6, or that series. For the Kings, I think they could push it to 6 as well, because I wonder how Chet is going to go up against the Montes Sabonis. Man, that's going to get me excited if that ends up happening. We have the Clippers and the Mavericks. I've been going back and forth between these two. I have. I'm going to go... Oh, man, because I like the Clippers as a whole better than the Mavericks, but just, dude, the Luka run, man. I'm going to go... Oh, man, I'm going to go with the Clippers. I think the Clippers win in 7. They are just going to technically own the Mavericks in the playoffs, beating them again, and I think they get it done. I think this Clippers team is, like, I don't think it's championship worthy, but I think they could beat Dallas. It's cool because, like, this year, I think both conferences are wide open, or more wide open than they've been. I think everything is wide open in the East, besides, at least to get to the conference finals, maybe besides Boston. Like, it's Boston's conference to lose. And for Denver, I mean, like, they didn't get the 1 seed. The Lakers may take a lot out of them in round number 1, and then they got to go up against Minnesota or Phoenix in round 2. It's weird the NBA doesn't reseed. I don't know, man. I'm not going to say it's like a lock that Denver goes back to back. Minnesota, Phoenix, I mean, who knows? I may just end up taking Denver. I like Phoenix. I do think Phoenix beats Minnesota. I'm going to go 6 games. The Western Conference round 1 should be elite. I even think the Lakers can really make a fight against the Nuggets. I'm going to go with the Nuggets in 5, but it's going to be, I think, a lot closer of games than some of these series I have going in at 6 and 7. So I took the Thunder over the Pelicans, or I don't know. I think either Pelicans or the Kings could push them to 6. I took the Clippers over the Mavs in 7. I took the Suns over the Timberwolves in 6. And I took the Nuggets over the Lakers in 5. So for the East, I mean, I think no Jimmy Butler. I think Boston sweeps whoever they play. I think this may be the only round 1 sweep we get. Everybody's on Orlando, but I honestly am scared. Like, I talked about it with Franz Wagner being the Magic X Factor. I don't know how this team is going to look offensively. They need people to create their own shot. And if it's not going to be Franz, I think I trust Donovan Mitchell and Garland and maybe even what Strus or LeVert can do a little bit more. I'm going to go with Cleveland. I'm going to go with Cleveland in 5, which may be my hottest take. And I did take them last year. I took the Knicks to beat them. We'll see if that happens. We get the Bucks and the Pacers. Oh my God, man. If Giannis is playing, I'm taking the Bucks in 5 or 6. But now that Giannis may miss the first couple of games, like, I was like, Matt, take the Pacers. But then I'm like, you know what? Everyone's going to take the Pacers. The Bucks are still a good team without Giannis. But are they, though? I think I may go Pacers in 6 for this exercise. I don't know if I'm going to change this between now and my Saturday morning video. But for now, I'm going to go with the Pacers. And then Knicks Sixers. I'm going Knicks. I'm going to go Knicks in 6. I think no matter what, if it was Heat or Sixers, I was taking the Knicks. I mean, we'll see how healthy Embiid is, but people are like, Matt, like I said this on Twitter, I just joked and tweeted like Knicks in 5 after the Sixers won, and they're like, who's stopping Embiid? Well, you know, nobody's stopping Embiid. The only person that ever could was like Al Horford and Marc Gasol, and Al Horford is past his prime, and Marc Gasol is not in the NBA, so you can't really stop Embiid. He's been dominating the NBA for the last 2-3 years. It's really, can you contain him and can you make other people beat you? I feel confident in the Knicks to shut down Tyrese Maxey or contain Tyrese Maxey. Embiid's going to beat you. Let him beat you. That's going to happen. Like, hold Embiid. Like, if he can score 25 points, that's a dub. If OG, or who I think it will be, OG's guarding Maxey, and then the switchability with Dante and Josh Hart, and you have Miles McBride, the Knicks have a good perimeter defense. I think the Knicks will be okay. And if Nick Batum scores 20 a game and hits 5 threes a game, then so be it. The Knicks will lose. But I think the Knicks win in 6. So let's go up here to the West. We do have the Thunder and the Clippers. I'm going to go the Clippers beating the Thunder. I'm going to go in 5. I think the experience is going to catch up to the Thunder. I don't love them to advance, and I think whoever wins the Clippers-Mavericks matchup is going to beat the Thunder in round number 2. We have Phoenix-Denver. I think Denver beats them again 2 years in a row in 6 games. Yeah, we'll go 6. I think Phoenix can push them to 6. Their offense is still really good, and they're going to be relatively healthy into that playoff series. So my Western Conference Finals, Clippers and Nuggets. Will I ever learn my lesson with the Clippers? No. I feel like I take them every year. For the East, Celtics, Cavs. We're going to go Celtics in 5. They get it done. So they go 8-1 in their first 9 playoff games. Next up, we have the Knicks and the Pacers. You know I'm taking my Knicks. Knicks in 6 again. Knicks in 6 again. I was like debating Knicks in 5. You know, let's go Knicks in 5. Yeah, the Eastern Conference semifinals. We got the Celtics in 5. We got the Knicks in 5. I may take the Knicks in my Ross video. Screw it, man. Whenever I ever had the chance to pick the Knicks as a 2 seed, Nuggets, Clippers, we're going Nuggets. We're gonna go Nuggets in 5. I think they get through the Clippers. I think they match up very well. And then Knicks, Celtics. The Knicks, I think, give them their toughest run. Do I think it goes to 7? Screw it. Let's give the Knicks some love, man. They just beat Boston in Boston, blew them out, and Boston was fully healthy. Besides, I think Kristaps played in that game. Yeah, they didn't have anything to play for, but yeah, I think the Knicks can push Boston really hard. Obviously, I would have loved to see Julius Randle out there at full strength, but Randle hasn't been great for the Knicks in the playoffs. So I know, very chalky. Nuggets, Celtics finals. For the pod, I'm going to go Celtics in 6. They beat the Nuggets, and that is going to be my take for the pod. I think for my Ross video, I'm going to get a little bit crazy in that because I kind of want to be biased for my Knicks because I never can, and I'm okay getting laughed out if the Knicks lose to the Sixers in round number 1. So make sure you follow me on Ross. You probably do if you're watching this, but that is going to be my playoff predictions. And I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of the Just Ballin' podcast. We talked about last night's Eastern Conference playing tournament games. I went over an X factor for every NBA playoff team. And we also went through the playoff bracket in kind of like a rough draft form. So I hope you guys did enjoy. The next episode of the pod will be out on Monday and Wednesday of next week. I don't know if I'll have one on Friday or Saturday, but the Monday and Wednesday episodes are pre-recorded. It's going to be a reaction to an ESPN mock draft, and it's going to be a mock draft I make, full first round, GM edition. So I pick... every pick is like if I was a GM and what I would do if I was in that position. And I do mention in that those were pre-recorded because I'm going to be away next week, so I can't react to the playoff games. But on Friday or Saturday, I'll be reacting to all the games there. And then, like I said in those, I hope my Knicks are out, but we'll see. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you're listening on YouTube, or if you're watching on YouTube, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of anything that I said in this podcast episode. And then if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I would really appreciate a rating or review, or just hit that follow button over there because I can go a long way. So thank you guys all for watching and listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.